All right, welcome. This is my preview of the Vitalist Herbalism Cohort 2024-2025. My name is John Slattery and I'm a Bioregional Herbalist, and I've been working with plants for healing nearly a quarter of a century now. So this 12-month course, which will be primarily virtual or exclusively virtual, depending on which tier one may choose, is a consolidation to some extent of the work that I've been doing and the core principles and concepts that I've been developing over this period of time as a bioregional herbalist, coalescing these core concepts and principles that I call bioregional herbalism, and with a focus on the vitalist aspect of the bioregional herbalism, which is essentially the core aspect that leads us throughout our endeavors and building our relationships with ourselves and the landscape and the plants therein. So welcome. Thank you for your interest and showing up here today to view this video. And I hope you get what you're after in being able to learn more about the core content of this course, what the intentions are of this course, what you may expect to learn, and what you may expect to receive as a consequence of, or accomplish as a consequence of participating in this 12-month cohort. So I hope to lay this all out here as clearly as possible, as clearly and as concisely as possible. And then you're all welcome to email me with any particular questions afterward. Okay, so let's begin. So once again, this is my Vitalist Herbalism Cohort that is derived from my experience of being on the landscape and working with plants, and will be guiding each of you through similar experiences of your own, and to some extent of your own choosing through my guidance, but will be predominantly, if not exclusively, again, depending on which tiered option you choose, to be a virtual experience, but in which we will be coming together live. So my inspiration for this cohort is essentially my experience in nature, coalesced into transferring that experience through core principles, concepts, and practices to others. And at the center of my learning and my experience was developing an appreciation for the vital force as it exists and as I feel it within myself, and how that manifests in a myriad of ways. And also perceiving that in the plants themselves as they exist in nature, and also as in the ways in which they interact with me as I ingest them or perceive them in a variety of ways. So helping people, assisting people in developing an appreciation for this vital force within ourselves and in herbalism, and of course all around us, as a means of being able to apply these concepts effectively for themselves and with others in the practice of herbalism. So what is vitalism? It's not simple to define, not easy to define in totality, but simple enough in that it is an ancient concept that encompasses our total spiritual, mental, emotional, and physical being. All that makes up these aspects of ourselves and that which flows throughout the natural world. It's a way in which we can see each other and experience each other in a way of absolute reality, you might say, for its true fluidity. And you might see, you notice already this Triskel symbol that is utilized throughout this presentation, and that I've come to appreciate as a symbol of my work with bioregional herbalism and vitalism in particular, as a representation of what I call this triumvirate of person, place, and plant, and how these fundamental aspects interact with each other in a multi-dimensional way. And by multi-dimensional, I mean you could look at that both in the physical planes and then also from the material to the immaterial planes. So vitalism is essentially accepting that there are these multiple planes of existence within ourselves and in the world around us, and coming to appreciate the interplay of these dynamics. So bringing herbalism into the experiential, and we will be doing that by way of exercises and engagement with each other. And I will invite each of you to engage in both privately and with the group a courageous expression of your experiences. And that is a way for us to tune more deeply into the vital force within ourselves, while opening ourselves up to the deeper and more profound aspects of what the nature of the plants are, therefore enabling a knowledge that is based on experience for ourselves in relation to the herbs that then we can share with others. Developing relationships with plants via our senses, which is another way of saying in part what I just described. And that is what we will do through the exercises. Now, if you are participating in the intermediate level, I'll also be sharing with you a monthly herbal package that goes along with the monthly plant profile or the plant in focus for that month. And that is also what we'll discuss in the monthly Zoom sessions. So that is an opportunity. Those will be our opportunities both in private or independently, and then as a group to explore and discuss and share on how we develop relationships, or at least how we're experiencing plants through our senses, which will then flesh out, so to speak, our developing relationships. And for those that choose the more advanced tier, there will be an opportunity to do this in the field intensively over a weekend. Okay, so let's lay out these intentions, my intentions for this cohort. Essentially, I'm looking to provide guidance for you based on my experience, optimizing, of course, the experience that I have available to draw from, and help facilitate a learning experience for each of you that is your own. So therefore, this is not essentially a didactic course that I'm going to tell you how it is, and you're to receive that, and upon completion you can regurgitate that to me. Although there's certainly an element of didactic knowledge transfer insofar as what I know about the plants, but I certainly don't seek to limit it to that. And I'm experienced enough to recognize, I'll say it that way, that I expect, in fact, to see new information brought forth from your own individual experiences that will further enhance my knowledge to the extent that I can perceive and absorb that. So this is a fluid, the whole development, the process of developing bioregional herbalism and vitalist herbalism is a fluid process insofar as we are actively participating with it individually and as a group. So I'm ultimately serving to guide that experience, and I feel I'm very well qualified to do that, as much as anything, frankly, that I have to offer. So the next aspect of this that I'm envisioning as important is the community space. And now, of course, it's going to be online, virtual, and we'll have our individual or our particular meetups, live meetups, and that's part of the community space. And then there'll be additional community space that'll be 24/7 online, to which a private community space to which each participant can go to access information that I've uploaded, can share, kind of like a Facebook post, so to speak, or a Facebook group, but more private and separate, and share their own experiences, seek feedback, ask questions, and more possibilities as well. But it'll be a place for sharing and growing together. and ultimately, being able to experience those people right alongside you that are endeavored to learn the same material or on a similar journey as you. And I think, aside from maybe my guidance, that's the second most valuable offering in what I'm creating here. And I hope you see that too. So the other aspect that I think, the third leg of this that I feel is crucial and that I aim to offer for all participants is structured learning. And that's not to say, if I haven't conveyed this clearly enough already, that it will be rigid in its structure, but it will be firm and consistent in a way that will allow us the comfort, I might want to say, or the trust in exploring unusual parts of ourself, new information, or even as we get into reflecting on how we feel while utilizing these herbs and what that brings up for us. This is where the fluid dynamic comes in, because I can't begin to assume what any individual will bring forth from their own responses to the herbs, and I trust these herbs that I'm introducing you to evoke that in a very relevant and potent way. In fact, the timeliness of it and the accuracy with which herbs can connect to us in the moment for what we have going on and what they can, how they resonate with us and vice versa. That's the fluid dynamic aspect. And that Triskel image that's here once again on the left side of the screen, I believe is evocative of that. And so the structured learning, the structured aspect of it provides the framework to which we can go in and explore that. And hopefully that will be more clear as we proceed, but at least letting you know now that that is my intention and has been my approach in my courses over the years to create that structured environment. All right, so those are the three primary legs. My guidance within this community space, providing a structure to which, within which respect and trust with my abilities and within the space for those to explore openly and courageously and to some extent vulnerably, so that the fluid dynamic of what's present amongst the herbs, amongst our group, with a particular herb at the particular place and time can reach its optimal breadth of expression and reach its optimal breadth of expression unto us as a group. And in that way, I feel like our learning opportunity will be optimized. Continuing on, to get a little more specific, you will be introduced to and increase your depth of knowledge of 12 different plants. So I've selected 12 plants, and I'm 95 to 99% sure on the list, so I'm not revealing them just yet. But a selection of plants that I have close relationship with, that way I can convey quite a bit with certainty and in trust and with potency to each of you, many of which are, I'll call them bioregional herbs and may or may be not available commercially, with a couple to a few herbs that are more commercially oriented. So that's the part of the intermediate tier where you will have easy access to all of these plants by selecting that tier, so that you're ensured you get the monthly herbal package. So I'll be providing the herbal material. You won't have to go out and get that yourself. Now, as we proceed through this process of exploring the plants, taking the time to do daily or regular reflective exercises and completing assignments and coming back to share, a methodology will begin to reveal itself as one becomes, or at least feels, more competent and confident in their ability to learn from the herb, self-reflect on how the herb affects them, and their language around how herbs move within their body and within others. This will become more clear to the point of where you can then apply that yourself to other herbs in the same way that we've done, or branching off or adjusting that to your own interests at that time as to what you may focus on. But this is not just a limited book of knowledge, let's say, but it is also a methodology. Now, discernment is a crucial element or a crucial principle, core principle of bioregional herbalism. And it's through the patient observation and self-reflection and these exercises and through the guidance that I'll provide from what I know about the herbs, through my experience and my relationship with them and their natures, that through patient observation as a group, each will come to develop in their own time that discernment. So it is my intention that each person will be developing their discernment, which will reflect back on the previous intention there to sculpt for oneself a knowledge of this methodology that then you can apply independently. Okay, additional intentions through our focused and self-reflective processes bring an element of ceremony back into our lives. And by that, I refer to the assignments and exercises to the extent that one may wish to take them. For the simple fact of us being self-reflective, practicing patient observation, and also observing how we feel, this can lend itself an element of ceremonial practice because it's essentially a spiritual practice as well. Although that's not the explicit goal, but simply by being in a state of self-awareness and self-observation, one is at the very least in a meditative practice, if not approaching a ceremonial endeavor. Now, the next one, achieve monthly personal goals in experiential study, then share it with the group. So the monthly personal goals would primarily have to do with the assignments and exercises. So exercises can be done, regularly as a means of developing a facility with the material and with our own selves and the plants. And then particular assignments may be, achieving, producing something or getting to a particular end goal with what you're doing, and perhaps repeating that throughout the month. And then our monthly live Zoom calls, that's when we'll each have an opportunity to share that with the group, and then we can build off of that or explore from what is shared, what's most relevant, what's most potent there in what people have to share. Now, each participant, so for next intention, each participant takes action, engages in reflection, and receives guidance from within the group to develop confidence in applying herbs in one's life. I think that's somewhat self-evident for what I've been stating. Okay, so those are the intentions. Now, who is this course for? In my mind, in my view, people who are open-minded and curious learners can do excellent with this course. They can be a sponge for what's available. But those who are inspired by the concept of vitalism, this would be an excellent entryway into herbs because, frankly, a lot of what's available, certainly online and in books or practical in-person courses, don't necessarily focus on vitalism. It's superficial or not even secondary, but definitely in the background. So this is definitely a course for someone who is inspired by vitalism. Someone seeking a deeper knowledge of herbs. So this isn't just for beginners, although this course is for beginners. And it's also for people, could be someone who's been practicing herbs for a decade, but really has no experience with vitalism and has never really sat with herbs in a self-reflective way. And so I've shared some things about Vitalist Herbalism of late and some experiences and some of the feedback been given from people I've been offered is that, listening to what I have to share, reading what I have to share, they realize that, there's a depth of feeling that we engage with with ourselves that we may or may not actually be tapping into our feeling sense or our feeling state. To be in the emotion, let's say, is not necessarily to be, what we're feeling along with the emotion, without getting too deep into that. But seeking a deeper knowledge of herbs, as we engage with herbs and reflect on how they make us feel, that experience can create a tremendous confidence and in utilizing those herbs, and expand our ability to interpolate what, quote, herbs may be used for or good for under whatever circumstances we begin to perceive before us, based on those deep experiential knowledge gathering opportunities with the herbs. Someone who's seeking to gain a foundational understanding of how to use herbs and how to learn about herbs. Again, that's been somewhat self-evident in what I've stated so far. Reiterating this, what I've mentioned, this course is for someone with an interest in vitalism, someone brand new to herbalism, someone with prior experience in herbalism, i.e. a practicing herbalist, but maybe they just don't feel like they're connecting deeply with the herbs as they thought they once did or would at some point. And maybe have been wrapped up too deeply in the phytochemistry and the presumed pathophysiology. What's beautiful about this experiential type of learning is that we can allow ourselves to re-envision or to broaden our vision about what herbs are doing in the body. When we've been dictated to about what a particular interaction is, based on essentially theories, a theoretical framework of knowledge as if it's fact, we can essentially relegate ourselves into the place of assumptions when we're endeavoring to learn from herbs. So leaving all of that aside and experiencing the herbs as they are, or as they engage with us, how they impress upon us with their nature, can open up a whole other world for how we understand what herbs can be doing to us and for us and with us. That's the fluidity of vitalist herbalism, or the fluid nature of nature itself, the fluid nature of this interaction between plants and person in place, and how much potency there is, unlimited potency for us when we begin to explore herbs from this perspective. So any medical professional seeking to integrate herbalism into their practice. Now, some of you may be viewing this from the integrative medicine background. You may be DOs, MDs in general practice, ER docs, nurse practitioners, surgeons, cardiac docs, whatever it may be. You have your background in medical training. Now, this is an opportunity to explore something that I would hasten to assume that you're never exposed to in your medical training. Yet was, in my opinion, some of the core foundational, let's say, teachings or approach to learning from plants that all traditional cultures utilized. In essence, we're going back at some level to becoming 5-year-olds again. And in that way, we open up our faculties to access what the rational mindset may begin to shut down as we move into the curriculum of education, the educational institutions, and seek to reopen that within ourselves and develop a trust in that once again, so that we can balance the heart mind with the intellectual mind. Very important point, I feel, to make about vitalism. So who else is this for? Someone seeking to explore herbs in a deep and meaningful way, someone looking for a foundation in how to learn herbalism via self-study. So that might be a particular concern for some of you, is like, I don't purport to say this is, a one and done, year-long, now you're certified, go on and practice and apply it. Yes, you can. You can probably begin applying this after, one profound day or 1 month, within the limited extent that you've been exposed to it in this holistic way. But as you really sink your teeth into it and whet your appetite, you'll learn that this aspect of self-study is, of course, ongoing. All right, as I've already stated, bioregional herbalism takes a vitalist approach. Here in the background image, you see a class I conducted in Central Texas many years ago, which were all seated around a wild plant. And you can see what the tone is set. This might be the second or third day of this course, and we're out in the field and we're observing plants. And people are starting to get it, that we're here to pay attention. We're here to open ourselves up. There aren't people chattering back and forth, and they're not asking questions of me trying to figure it out. They realize that the focus of our attention here is the plant. And they've already learned from experiences built up over the previous couple days that that's where the potency is. Okay, so that's the vitalist approach. So vitalist herbalism is observational, experiential, rooted in nature, and connected to the fluid moment. I've touched on each of these so far. Of course, you might say, well, if we're doing a virtual course, how is it rooted in nature? Well, the plants come from nature and we're a part of nature. And we're also going to be doing assignments or exercises that can get us out, of course, from behind the computer. Very limited amount of work will necessitate being on the computer outside of our meetups. And perhaps if you choose to view the videos or read the written materials that I'll send you via the computer, you could be doing so much of this work in nature if you choose, and that would be what I would encourage. So this is some beginning thoughts for you to contemplate what vitalist herbalism is. All right, now let's get down to the core content of this course. So I have the 3 tiers, and I'm going to split it up eventually as we get through this slideshow to show you exactly what's included in which tier, to help you understand that clearly before you make your choice of which one you want to join, because I think it'll be very clear for each person what would be the best option for them. But the core of the intermediate course is our monthly 4-hour meetups over Zoom, I presume, most likely Zoom. That's the 12-month cohort right there. And that will be our live time together as a group, and everything will build around that. And in the interim between each one is when each person will be doing their own work and preparing to share what they have. And of course, the next step, the next piece is the private community, where in between each monthly meetup, people can be going on a daily basis as frequently as you like to share your experience, ask questions of each other, engage. I might be sharing or uploading supplementary material here that's not listed in the content, but whatever comes that's relevant, I'd be happy to share. So that would be the private community, an online community, of course. And then we've got our 12 herbs over 12 months, studied in depth. I've alluded to that already, so I'm reiterating that here. That'll be in terms of our herbalism study, our materia medica, that's it right there, those 12 herbs. Now you'll have monthly assignments and exercises that go with each of those 12 herbs, and they'll build in their progression and loop back and expand simultaneously, and you have an opportunity to share your experiences with the group, either in the private community or more appropriately at each new meeting. Continuing on is a photo from another class in Central Texas where we did some hands-on medicine making years ago. You could see the glow in the people after a few days. So our monthly 4-hour meetings over 12-month cohort, I feel like I've just repeated that. Sorry about that. Written materials. So this is going to be part of the intermediate tier. I'll have something that is kind of a discourse on what is bioregional herbalism to contextualize that a bit more, highlighting Vitalist principles, offering some Vitalist practices that can be tuned into for those who are really gung-ho about exploring this and getting into it. Monthly plant profiles with exercises and reflections, so those will be written with photos as well, so you can use that as a study guide in between. Plant energetics reference, that's something I've been building for much of the past 15 years with the local flora and beyond. And then each person will receive a copy of my Southwest Medicinal Plants book that has a lot of this, but certainly not all of it in a very introductory form. And then the monthly herbal package delivered to your home. Again, that will be for the intermediate and advanced course. So that's a way for you to have engagement with the 12 monthly plants, each plant of the month. You'll have at least one, if not multiple things to work with, materials, whether it's tincture, tea, oil, salve, syrup, whatever it may be. That's something that I'll be making myself, or perhaps my assistants will be helping me with, and we'll be shipping that out on a monthly basis. Okay, so also in our monthly Zoom sessions, we'll have periodically breakout rooms where the exercises that I've introduced can be, or spontaneous exercises for that matter, or planned, can be explored in a more intimate way, thus encouraging people to share when they might otherwise not be so compelled to within the broader group. So maybe, 5 or less, 3 to 5 people, groups of 3 to 5 people. Optional, this is to do with the advanced course. That's field study in, not Marcy, March of 2025. There'll be a weekend excursion near the Tucson area where we'll be camping and daily full day excursions out into the desert. It's a beautiful time of year to be there, cool nights, usually warm sunny days, and lots of exposure to some of the plants in the course and many, many more, and an opportunity to practice these in action, live in the field with the plants under my tutelage. A lot of what we'll be exploring up in the 6 or 7 months it will be up to that point. So that's kind of the midway point of the course, maybe just over the midway point. So an excellent opportunity. I don't know if I'll be I didn't offer any of those this year publicly, and I don't know what else I may be offering next year. So this could be the only field intensive that I have available in 2025. And then the second add-on for the advanced tier will be private Zoom sessions for guidance and to deepen one's learning. I'm going to go into that a little bit further in a subsequent slide. What can one expect to achieve in this course? So it's a perfectly acceptable question, and of course it's not always easy to answer. And yes, you will receive a certificate of completion, which I didn't add on here, but there is no agency or institution or certainly any government governing body that presides over the work that I do that endorses any certificate. So it would be a certificate, let's call it a certificate of honor, that honors the work that you've done and commemorates the work that you've done, which I value, and hopefully you would as well, but is not something that's observed for CEUs or any such thing. But you can expect, if you apply yourself, if one shows up consistently and pays attention and applies oneself, you will gain the knowledge of and command of 12 herbs that you, of course, will continue to learn about, but you will have a much deeper awareness and understanding and appreciation for these herbs after this course. And an ability to replicate that learning with other herbs. So if you have other herbs that you're really excited about, unless you have tons of time to apply, I would suggest, keeping those at an arm's distance until we get through the course, and then go ahead and apply the same formula, the same methodology to those herbs, and you'll see your knowledge deepen and expand with those herbs subsequently as well. And then deeper appreciation for vitalism and how it applies in one's life. And I think that'll be significantly individual dependent. It's going to be infused throughout, and to the extent that one really takes that bull by the horns and goes deep with it, you can get that much out of it. And that's been my experience. That's how I really got to this point, is doing that for myself, and that hooked me for good. And enhanced knowledge of self. The more courageously we step forward to explore what's really happening within ourselves in relation to what the plants present to us, we have that opportunity to grow more knowledgeable about who we really are, that eternal being, that soul that exists within inside us, that seeks expression and seeks to engage with the world around it. And the ability to apply herbs for others based on one's personal experience and confidence in vitalist principles. So you will be endorsed by the plants when you really apply yourself to this course, and therefore be able to apply these herbs and perhaps other herbs as well with great confidence, because you have the experience, and with that experience you have true knowledge. So those are some of the primary things I've considered that one may expect to achieve in this course, but of course that's not limited to those, and there's a lot more that one may achieve. Okay, so I've been referencing these 3 tiers throughout. Independent, which is the primary level. Intermediate, of course, self-explanatory, and advanced, taking in all that this course has to offer. So I would suggest that you pay attention to this, maybe look at it a couple times, take a screenshot of the subsequent table, and just assess that for yourself. You know, what are you really ready to take on, and what do you need right now? Okay, so independent level includes all the written materials, and that's going to be, I haven't detailed what those are in this slideshow, but that will be forthcoming on my website. A recorded version of all the class meetings. So we won't have admittance to the live class, but you will receive a recording of each. And exercises and written materials released monthly. So that means all of the plant profiles, and then the exercises and assignments. Which one will be, responsible to themselves to perform those exercises, and there'll be no one to report to or share with upon doing them. That's all part of the independent. And then of course you can watch the recorded Zoom sessions, as I've alluded to up there, the class meetings. So self-motivated means no participation in live segments or any interaction with the group. All right, so that's the independent level. Now, the intermediate levels, everything that I just described with the independent. Now, you will also gain access to the monthly herbal package. As I stated earlier, it'll be the individual herb that we use for that month, and some kind of preparation, if not multiple preparations, or the herb itself, and any other thing that I might be able to send along that represents that herb. And of course, you have access to the live monthly Zoom. I say 13 because we're going to do a preliminary Zoom, and then the 12 monthly plant profiles. And then the Circle community access. Circle is the platform that I'm setting up for us to have this private community that's available 24/7, and all can go on there to post and read and engage, photos, text, I believe even video for all participants is available. And I'm also going to be adding some pre-recorded videos that will supplement what I'll be offering as written materials in relation to these 3 items. There's corresponding written documents. And so Bioregional Herbalism is going to go a little bit more into my story of how I got into it. You can also read some of that on my website. I have a part 1, 2, and 3, and I'll go into some, I'll talk about those stories and a little bit more about it in the video. And then offering some experiences of vitalism in my life, some foundational experiences 15 years ago, some intimate experiences for me that relate to plants succinctly and directly, and profound experiences that I had that really propelled me on this path of committing to vitalism, trusting in it by way of the plants. It's an exceptional thing that I feel I'm offering within this course, is that this isn't just an idea for me, or an unproven idea for that matter. I have experiences that validate it for me, and so I'm sharing from that place. And then plant energetics. There's this course, you probably spend all the time in this course just exploring and discussing that, which of course we will in part kind of tease in and out of it. So I'm adding in both the written reference, and then this video, hopefully to contextualize and provide some lessons on the written reference, so that you can draw from it as you go through your experiences and prepare for our monthly meetings, and reflect back to after our monthly meetings as a reference, and then also to utilize ongoing in your continued pursuit of knowledge of herbs and herbalism. So that's all intermediate. That's a great course right there. Excellent cohort. Now the advanced is going to be a limited options here for sure, because this is our only live in-person offering, and that's a field trip. I have committed to these dates to the extent of being on my calendar. I have yet to reserve the campsites yet, so that'll be somewhat contingent upon getting the registrations for the course, but we're far enough advanced right now that I think that should be no problem. So that'll be in Tucson, or just outside of Tucson, March 14th through the 16th. That's a Friday through Sunday. So everything up to this point, the whole enchilada plus the field trip. And then I'm also offering, as I mentioned earlier, this monthly personal Zoom hour. So that monthly personal Zoom hour, how I envision that is that I see just observing my work over time, how individuals can uncover some particular potency in this work for themselves, that even when we have opportunity to explore that as a group, meaning what someone brings forth can be explored in front of the group, such that it's personalized yet includes the group. It's often needed that an individual may wish to pursue this even further. And so that's one of the reasons why I thought up of this option within this advanced tier, that you have this option to schedule with me on a monthly basis. So each person will have 1 hour per 30-day period, let's call it, from the start of the course, that you'll have a slot dedicated for you included in the advanced tier. That could be, like I said, what's coming up for you as you're engaged in this work. It could be that you have specific questions on the material that we're covering, and what I've offered to you, or what you're experiencing in the class isn't closing all the loops for you, and you want to get with me and ask me specific questions. We can do that. If you want to even talk to me about your own personal healthcare stuff, your own personal wellness, trying to dial in what herbs, what you might seek to explore for yourself, learn about those herbs and hopefully enhance your own well-being. That's another, it's kind of like whatever you choose to work on within this hour that's relevant to our course material, as personalized or as general as you want to make it. So I think that's a really excellent value there, and you'll have 12 one-hour sessions available to you throughout the length of the program to cash in on. And then also add, although that's booked into the advanced tier, if someone in the intermediate or even the independent tier wanted to schedule something like this, I'm available to do that. I don't know what the availability will be necessarily, but that certainly could be an option. Whereas the advanced tier will have a definitive locked-in hour somewhere within the month for themselves to take advantage of. And that's called updressing. I don't know if you guys knew that. this figure of the person wearing clothes waist up and in their boxers down below. So some of us may be doing that. I don't know. I try not to. Okay, jokes aside, this is what's included. So I've articulated all this already, but oh shoot, I meant to edit that top tier so it's a little bit funky to read, but here we are. So you can see across the top, these are all the main chunks of what's being offered. Written materials, monthly plant profile, exercises and assignments, all that's written, and then the recorded Zoom calls. That's something that everybody gets, okay? Now, that's what everybody gets, and that's all that the independent tier gets. Now, if you're in the intermediate, now you're gonna be able to participate in the monthly live Zoom, which I think is huge. It's what probably a lot of you will be here for. And you also get this chunk of pre-recorded videos that I've already talked about. And you're gonna get the monthly herbal package. So you get stuff in the mail each month to supplement the exercises and assignments. Now, if you have the exercises and assignments as independent and you're not getting the monthly herbal package, you may have to reach out to purchase those. If you can't, well, if you want to do the exercises and assignments, you will need in full, you will need the herbs, and some of those may be difficult to get. So for those that are part of the independent and can't access some of those, you will have the option to reach out to me independently, and I will fulfill those for you. It'd be a different price point, but I can fulfill those for you. And then the circle community, that will also be part of intermediate. Now, March 2025 field trip and the monthly private Zoom hour, that's the only thing that the intermediate doesn't get, and the advanced will. All right, I see my battery's about to go on me. Out of respect to all participants, this is something I share in good faith, just to give people an idea of what sort of environment I'm seeking to create with this. So, under the assumption that all people who would participate are on board with this, I'm just conferring with you, yes, I'm there with you too. Respectful conduct with all your peers, regular attendance and application of oneself to the material, show up and pay attention, simple as that. Openness and willingness to explore new territory, including what one is feeling inside, all will be encouraged to do that. To attempt to be present with what one feels. No expectations to share anything you are not comfortable with. So again, you will be encouraged to participate in that way. Keep politics and personal views out of the course unless relevant to one's experience with the class material as a means to grow and learn from the experience. Concisely, I mean that's not like something we're going to be loose about lumping in, of course, but you never know what comes up with a person when they feel, and if that's subject material that's related to their flow of their feeling experience with the herb, it will be admitted. It's not to say it's exclusively kept out, but only in terms of how it's relevant to the process of what we're doing. Hopefully that's clear. Just trying to cover the bases. And now, Vitalist Herbalism pricing. So here's our 3 tiers. There we've got the costs, and there is limited availability to both the intermediate and advanced, whereas the independent is unlimited. So if that's where you're leaning, don't worry about jumping in quickly, because until we start, there'll be space for that, and possibly even after we start. I haven't decided yet for those that show up late. But with the intermediate and advanced, I'm going to have those strictly limited. So if those are what you're interested in, definitely be on the lookout for when this is going to be released, and I would suggest you enroll as quickly as possible. And if you're not already on my newsletter, go to my website, johnjslattery.com. I hope to have the enrollment scheduled, scheduled to post by August 6th, next week. You will receive an email if you're on my email newsletter. Just go to johnjslattery.com, scroll down, and sign up there for the email newsletter. Any questions about this course, just send me an email after you've watched this. Feel free to rewatch it if there's something else in here you didn't quite catch, but otherwise just email me, john@johnjslattery.com, and I'll get back to you as soon as possible. All right, thank you very much for watching, and I really, truly hope to see and experience all of you and meet all of you in some version of this cohort in the 12 months to come. Thank you very much.